Hey folks, it's your pal Mike Shea from slyflourish.com and twitter.com/slyflourish, here with another episode of Sly Flourish's Lazy DM Prep. This is a weekly show shot on Sundays at roughly 10 a.m. Whenever I can, which is most weeks. And in this show, we go through the steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master while preparing for my weekly D&D game, which in this case is the Tomb of Annihilation. In fact, we are in the Tomb of the Nine Gods. If you are on Twitch, please say hello in the chat. I see King Butterfree is throwing a bunch of D&D ampersands in there. That's pretty awesome. I wish I had some D&D ampersands. I don't know where I get those. Paladin Hulk is here today. Good to see you. I am well today. Thank you very much. Excited for my game. Nice to get a little extra hour of sleep for those of us where, for some stupid reason, the time changes twice a year. This is the good way the time changes, but it seems like as the time changes in the positive, it is much easier to acclimate to it than it is when it goes the other direction, which takes weeks. Like I'll go through like weeks of sleep deprivation. Hype. Yes. So, let's see. Probably the big news. I got a few pieces of big news today from the world of Sly Flourish, and the first is that let's see. That's a little. Oh, I don't know how I'm gonna get that to be just right. We're gonna have to live with that. Sly Flourish's Lazy DM's workbook is out. The PDF of it is out. You can buy it today if you're on Twitch, and you look in the lower panels. You will see a link there. You can also go to slyflourish.com. And look on the right-hand side, and you will see the cover, and you can click it and buy it there. If you're on YouTube, if you look down in the description below, there is a link to it there as well. It's about $5. It's not about $5. It's $5, $4.99 or something like that. You can get it directly from me, which is great. You can also get an RPG now if you want to get it from there. So the big question is, okay, that's great, but when is the print copy coming out? The interior and the cover layout are done, not yet in my hands, but Eric Nowak, who is doing the design of it, he has done it, and is going to be sending it to me hopefully today, in which case we can get the proof done. This, fingers crossed, this should be easier to do than the return was, because there's no spine on the book. So, and the other reason why there's a little delay is we want people to get it in their hands, and if they see anything broken or weird, they can say, hey, there's something broken and weird. We had like 2 corrections that we made, very minor corrections that we made to Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master once it went out in full press. I think it was either last episode or 2 episodes back, I went through the full contents of the Lazy DM workbook, all of the different tables that it's got, all the stuff that's in there. So I'm not going to do that again today. But if you are curious what's in this book, then you can go through that. Like madness tables, all kinds of random tables, bunches of fantasy names, traps. I said I'm not going to go through it, but then here I am going through it. Town events. I like this one a lot. The random dungeon monsters. This is like a very D&D first edition style, roll to see what's in the dungeon. Encounter building guidelines, theater of the mind guidelines, because I wrote it. Character connections, and then of course 10 lazy layers, little descriptions of places and maps that you can throw right into your game. There are 10 of these. So really proud of this book. It's kind of interesting to me because I actually put out 2 books this year that are both pretty meaty. This is 50 page or 52 pages. The print copy will be 48 pages so that we can get it to be staple bound and won't include the fill-in sheets, but the fill-in sheets are available for download to everybody for free. So you can go, again, if you go to the website and look at it, you can download the fill-in sheets. The fill-in sheets are, I can bring those up. Let's see here. So they're a little, let's see. This session worksheet, for example, follows the 8 steps that you're going to see me go through today. So, Siri Solord asks, what book is this? This is the Lazy DM's workbook. It is a book of tools and aids, references, tools, and layers that you can use in your game. This was the stretch goal reward for the Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master Kickstarter, and it's sort of the companion book. Both books work perfectly fine on their own, and they work very well together. This is I see like Return as being the book that you sit in a comfy chair with a nice, cup of coffee or your beverage of choice and a good light, and you sit and you read and nod your head a lot and go, yeah, right, and think about it, yeah. And then you put it away, and maybe you read it every so often, read it once in a while. The Lazy DM's Workbook, I expect to be sitting in your backpack, and it's beat to hell, and the cover's all scratched up, and the pages are all bent, and there's writing in it, and it's great. And this is the book that you use at your table when you're like, uh-oh, they're going to a place, and I don't have a cool thing there. What cool thing do I need? And then you jump down to your random fantastic, let's see, your random monument generator, and you say, there you find a orcish buried well, an old well that the orcs had that's buried. And when you look at it, you are filled with terrible fear, and you run away, stuff like that. That is how this works. I thought you had only the one book out this year. Yeah, I'm actually a little worried about Series Alert says, I thought you only had one book. And that's kind of true. That like, I'm worried that this book is going to get overshadowed by the first. And I guess if you're going to overshadow a book, overshadowing with your own book is great. But yeah, there are two books, and one's $8 in PDF and one's $5 in PDF, but they work really well together. So this is a great companion book. I'm not pitching the hell out of it on the website yet or on Twitter yet, because I'm going to wait until the print copy's out. Because even more so than Return, which I think reads fine on an ebook reader or as a PDF reader, the Lazy DM Workbook is really best as a print copy. Now, that said, you can print the PDF. You can print the pages of the PDF that you want. That's what I do. I don't bring the whole thing with me. I just print like the 5e references and the random names and a couple of other charts. So you can kind of pick what you want and do it that way. But we are also here to talk about the actual Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master and the steps that we go through. That's an ugly ass picture on there. Let's do a nice map on the other side there. Columns. We're here to talk about Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, and in particular, the 8 steps that we go through. If you want to follow along, you can download the preview of Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, which includes I lost my train of thought. What does it include? Oh yeah. So if you download the preview of Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, it includes a chapter that outlines the checklist. I designed the sample chapter to be useful as a thing on its own, a thing I wanted to give away to help people look at the 8 steps. It is, there's lots of wonderful things in this book, but the 8 steps are the big one. Oh, just one other, little piece for those who back the Kickstarter. The good news is we finally got the hardcover right, including the spine. There's still a little float in the spine, but there's no big weird gap. So we're happy with this. I'm happy with it. I looked at it. I got 4 copies of it. It looks great. So the hardcover is just about done. It is done, frankly. And we are waiting for the soft cover. We're going to release both at the same time. The soft cover had to have a new version of the cover uploaded last week. And they say 3 to 5 business days before Lightning Press gets the cover and approves it and gets it ready for the proof. And they're taking the full 5 business days because I put it in on Tuesday and I didn't get it on Friday. So I better get it Monday. And then I can order the proof and I'll order it, get it to me as fast as you can. I would love to have it by the end of next week, but that might be tight. I expect it to go well, though. We worked a lot on that cover to get it right, and I think it will be fine. So unless there's some catastrophic problem, I hope that the book will be out week after next, available for print. And maybe the workbook won't be ready for print by then, but it'll be maybe a week after. You never know. Anyway, so that's the current state of that. The hardcover is great, by the way. This is really awesome. I think it's going to be about $24 for the hardback version and $12 for the softcover version. So this is at it's not just because it's hardcover, it's also because it's using the higher quality print. So the print has the color depth of the images in the hardcover are better as well. Really, really good looking art. I can't figure out where the camera is. So, and the camera's not the best way to do it. Ooh, what's that? Oh, look at that. Weird, a couple pages got folded together. How bizarre. Huh. I guess they all didn't print perfectly. It's a bizarre thing. I'll have to look at the others. So sometimes there's an error in printing, but the good thing is they will generally send you a new one when there's an error. What else? All right, so let's go through the 8 steps. So, hey, look, that looks familiar. The Lazy Dungeon Master Checklist. So we have 8 steps when we're preparing for our game. Oh, by the way, if you have any questions about any of these books or anything else that's going on, please feel free to bring them up in the chat and we can talk about them. Paladin Lord says, I've set the goal to write a bunch of one-shots this month for NaNoWriMo. I should definitely use your books to help with that. Cool. Somebody asked me, this is a question that came up on Twitter and I think is worth thinking about because I'm thinking about it. I'm kind of, in the early stages of my next thing. And the question that came up on is the checklist a good outline for published adventures? And our immediate reaction is, oh yeah, fill out those steps and you've got yourself an adventure. Well, the checklist is designed for DMs and it's designed around simplicity and speed. It's designed to help you quickly get a game together. If you're writing a published adventure, I'll give you my philosophy. My philosophy is if I'm writing a published adventure, my job is to make it easy for the DM, which means I should be giving them things that they can't do or that are really hard for them to do. So I should be doing the hard work, not the easy work. Now, Fantastic Adventures has the outline, and it's pretty much the outline that you would expect from the Lazy Dungeon Master Checklist. It's pretty close to the same. But there are some big differences, like all of the locations are filled out and have read aloud text and descriptions. And of course, there's full color maps and there's other artwork. So I think a big one that, we people who write published adventures can't do is art. So I can't draw a full color, beautiful map, like you see there in the lower right, Mike Schley has to do a map like that. So good beautiful maps that somebody can't draw on their own, I think is important. Although this is debatable because I don't think that many people can draw as well as Dyson draws. But one of the recent arguments or discussions that have come up in a few different forums about Dragon Heist is that it switched from the Mike Schley style artwork that you see in the lower right to black and white line art style maps. Let me pull one up here. And Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Let's go with Zinterm Hideout. So they still have great art. Like, look at that art. And the maps are good. So this is a one of Dyson's maps. And, it's still... I think this is closer to the kind of map that somebody can do. And one of the arguments for its benefit is that this map is drawn in a style that you can replicate at your table if you want to. It's very clear what they are. But also, even drawing a map like this is not an easy map to draw, right? There's lots of little stuff in here. There's lots of little details. Cross-hatching, you got to get good at cross-hatching. This is a detailed map. So even a map like this helps. And I think that spending the time and money, if you're not going to do it, you have to commission somebody who will. To make good artwork and good maps is one of the things that a published adventure can do that you would not expect a DM to do. NPC artwork might be another, I think down here in somewhere in this. Yeah, so we've got like these, you get artwork like that to kind of represent NPCs. These are not the kind of, maybe a DM can go out and fetch this off the web. They can go look for character portraits and find stuff. But if if you're an adventure writer and you have an idea about a character in mind, you might want to commission some art for the character art. Now, all that's very expensive, but we're asking money for this stuff. If we're writing a published adventure and we're selling it, then we're asking money for this stuff. I've had pretty big debates about where's the Lazy Dungeon Master Checklist? Big. I've had debates with people who say that I tend to overdo or overblow all of the things that are needed for a good published adventure. I'll tell you another really big one is playtesting. If you are buying a published adventure, knowing that it has been playtested is a big benefit. I really avoid adventures that come out that aren't playtested. I put some out. Like I've got not anything that I charge money for, but I've put some free adventures out where maybe I ran it at my game, but I never playtested anywhere else. But that's like a blog article, and I don't sell that. I'll just put that out there. I think that playtesting playtest, getting it playtested and reviewing the playtest feedback, having it run by other DMs than the writer of the adventure, and cleaning that up. I know it was vital for Fantastic Adventures, and I think it's really important. King Butterfree says, I've bought stuff in the DMs Guild just because the art is beautiful. Are there guidelines for playtesting? Probably. I don't know what they are. I wrote a and I'd have to dig it up. I don't remember what it was, but I wrote a playtest survey for Fantastic Adventures that I sent out that had, it was specific about the kinds of things that I was looking for overall for these adventures. And instead of just saying like, what'd you think? Or what was your feedback? Although I think there was like an open field and give it whatever you want, but it was also like, how hard was it? Was it too easy? Were you able to, did the plot work out like you expected? Was there any parts that were hard? Were there any parts that were unclear? So I tried to really dig into what benefits they could have. Paladin Hulk. So you kind of started the conversation, but I wasn't necessarily talking about the stuff you're putting out. I wasn't intending to sell these, but just to get more comfortable with their format over longer campaigns. Yeah. And that's cool, right? And NaNoWriMo is great. I wrote a novel in NaNoWriMo 15 years ago or something like that, and it was fun. Now I'm writing all the time, so I don't do NaNoWriMo anymore. I think writing experimental stuff is great, and we could play with it. You never know where these are going to go. What's the other thing? So playtesting is important. Somebody said the DM's Guild because of the art. Yeah, one thing that I've been really happy with is that the quality of the products that are going up in the DM's Guild. I don't know if it's overall, but certainly the stuff that I'm seeing and the higher end stuff, both the Guild Adept stuff and the Adventures League stuff, and a lot of the top selling products are beautiful. They have really good design, like the Adventures League stuff. If you looked at the Eberron ones, I forget the name of the designer. James Odercasso introduced me to him in email because I sent a note. James is kind of producing all of these adventures, and I talked to him about it and wanted to, I'm like, wow, these designs are awesome. And they're putting out these, Adventures League legal Eberron adventures, and they look beautiful. They look right out of a WotC book. They're really, really nice looking. They use art that's stuff I haven't seen before, but I think most of it is the freely available DMs Guild art, which is also a really nice thing. The fact that when you write for the DMs Guild, you have access to all of this artwork, I think is really, really powerful. So really good design. I mean, I have a bunch of things that I always look for, which is like really good artwork, really good maps, good design, good play testing, good editing, and all of these things cost money. And those are like the big things. But then I also think about the components that are going to be in there. And it's like maps and good NPC descriptions and solid story hooks and what else? I don't know. I'm still thinking through this thing. Like this is a question that I've brought up with friends of mine who are in this racket, and like when people buy, and I don't think there's a great answer because we have so many variants of adventures, and even WotC is putting out variants of adventures, and like what do people want and what do they pay for when they buy a published adventure? I think we might have talked about this on a previous episode too. I tend to recycle topics. Anyway, really interesting topic. And Paladin, good luck to you writing your adventures. That sounds great. Writing a bunch of one-shots is always useful. I think, just a mental exercise of kind of building stories, I think is great. I love doing it. I love sort of thinking about them and thinking about, so for this thing I'm experimenting with now, I actually ran my Halloween game based on it. And it was fun, kind of a neat sort of central location. So the checklist. So I have to prepare for a game. I've now got 20 minutes less to prepare for my game, but it only takes me about 10 or 15 minutes, or about 15 minutes-ish to actually do the prep if I abbreviate it, and maybe a half hour, especially if I'm talking it through. So there are 8 steps in the Lazy Dungeon Master's checklist, and of the 8 steps, they're all optional, but some are stronger steps than others. And we'll talk a bit about that. Previous episodes have also gone through all of the steps, but we're just going to go through a quick review. Number 1 is review the characters. Who are the characters that are in the game? What is going on with them? What backgrounds do they have? Are there any character hooks that we want to tug on in this next adventure? That's a big one. And we put that first so that we have the characters in our mind while we're doing the rest of the prep, so that we're considering them while we're preparing the rest of the game. Number 2 is create a strong start. What is the thing that is going to grab the attention of the characters and or the players and tell the players, hey, we are playing D&D now. What is an exciting event that can occur? What's something that they might witness, something that happens to them, something that they get involved in? What is the thing that draws them into this particular game? What scenes might take place? We do an outline. Once we have the strong start, what scenes do we think might occur? This is of all of the steps, this is the one that was both in and out of the book a lot. And I put it in because it's something that I think is pretty common. So we can think of the scenes as like, what do we think might happen, so that if the players are all staring at us and they don't know where to go, we have some outline about where they might go. And these could be either in series or they might be in parallel. We don't really know. The key is that we've got to be ready to throw them away if the game runs off on its own, because when it runs off on its own, it's almost always better than anything that we prepared ahead of time. Most of the time. I don't know. I don't have any data to back that up. Define secrets and clues. This is one of the most important steps, probably strong start. Reviewing the characters, the strong start, secrets and clues. Although fantastic locations, if you don't have them, is also pretty important. What are 10 things that the characters can learn in the next game? What are things that they can discover while they are adventuring? What are the, what bits of history might they uncover? What mysteries might they uncover? We come up with 10 because it really stretches our brain to think deeply about what is going on in our game. Fantastic locations. What are the backdrops that are going to happen in the game? What fantastic places will the game take place in while we're running it? We usually do about one of these for every 45 minutes of gameplay or so. We expect that a scene will probably take on the average about 45 minutes, whether it's combat or whatever. So having about, if you're running a 3-hour game, have about four locations is pretty good. It could be a dungeon. It could be an overland place. It's usually like, think room sized, think something that's on the order of like 50 to 100 feet-ish, right? They're kind of a big area, but not a castle. Like a castle's got lots of locations in it. It's more like the Great Gorge, that there's a really precarious walkway on the edge of a bottomless pit, and, weird acidic steam is pouring out of it, and there's the skulls of great beasts embedded in the walls. That's like a fantastic location. Outline important NPCs. What important NPCs might come up in our next game, particularly if we might have trouble remembering who they are. Write down their names, and then how can we, what is the name? What is the connection to the adventure? And is there a character archetype from popular fiction we can use? Choose relevant monsters. If we were going to have monsters or we're not sure what monsters we have, what monsters can we put in here? For the Halloween game I ran, I had one monster in mind. I had a Revenant in mind. And I said, I want to write I'm going to write Friday the 13th with a Revenant. And then that was the seed of the story. Started with a monster and then worked its way out. But what other monsters? Well, I had skeletons, and I had specters, and I had, I don't know. I had a random monster, so who knows? I think they only fought like 3 things. Oh, and cultists. You always got to have cultists. Cultists that worship Jason from Friday the 13th. How cool is that? And it wasn't Jason. It was it's a long story. I'll probably write an article about it. So what monsters are a great seed. If you don't know where to go with an adventure, start with a monster. That's one approach is grab your monster manual, pick a monster out that you think is cool, read its backstory, and then build an adventure around it. One of the things that the monster manual is not well known for is the fact that it is got like 300 adventure seeds in there. It's packed with really great ideas to build adventures. Select magic item rewards. Magic items matter to players a lot because they are a key benefit to their character, but we control them, so we need to pay attention to them because they matter so much to our character. Isn't there like 300 monsters in the monster manual? There's a lot of monsters in the monster manual. I don't know if it's 300. I thought it was a lot. I don't have a copy. So those are the 8 steps. Again, this chapter 2, Lazy Dungeon Master's Checklist, is available for free. So if you want to follow it along or try it out yourself, feel free. So let us jump to our game. These are the notes to my game. This is also the notes that I use in the YouTube one. Let's see, wrong one. So we're going to go here. We have a nice empty one. Let's take a look at chat. What's going on in here? Paladin Hulk. Of course, Paladin Hulk branding for the win. I wasn't intending to sell these. Volo's Guide. Yes, Volo's Guide is fantastic. I love Volo's Guide and Mordenkainen's. Both of those books have lots of cool adventure seeds. I think Volo's Guide a little bit more so than Mordenkainen's. So the Mordenkainen's has some really good high-level ones, like the Blood War and the Githyanki and the elves, stuff going on with the elves. Paladin Hulk says, one of the one-shots I wrote revolves around the party having to disenchant a bunch of magic items. I can't wait to see my friends struggle with it. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Like, you have to destroy your own stuff. That's mean. But a funny idea. I gave him a really powerful magic item in my Halloween game. Nobody used it. So, where are we? Last week, our group started in... let's see, we're going to minimize that and take a look at this. They started in room 52. I built a nice Dwarven Forge layout, a 2-layer layout. I posted the pictures up on Twitter if you want to see it. Maddie Muthian, if you look down in the notes on Twitch, you will see a link that says to this sample. It's called the... isn't there a sample? So click Return to the Lazy Dungeon Master, and you will see a link for... the sample chapters, and you can find it there. So yes, I built a nice Dwarven Forge layout, really big fight, really hard. Oh, I TPK'd them. I forgot to mention. Yeah, that's my second TPK within 24 hours. I killed one group on Saturday with Strahd, and I killed a second group with a skeletal guardian, which was based on the giant skeleton from Tomb of Horrors. They got hit with a pair of fireballs from a pair of flame skulls, and then a 4-armed skeleton carrying golden scimitars was also beating the crap out of them. It was wonderful. So this is full of spoilers. I will warn you, you're going to get the Tomb of Annihilation spoiled in a second. I didn't actually TPK them, Paladin Hulk. I'll get to that in a second. But they all knew that they'd all dropped. So they went into the secret area. This was really hard because there's like a golden sun that fires rays. They got hit with the rays that did a bunch of damage to at least one of them. The rogue kept evading, and he did really well. He evaded probably on the order of 150 points of damage by dodging and making his saving throws. He's really crafty. And he grabbed the necklace, and the necklace that he clearly recognized was a necklace of fireballs. It's a golden necklace with a bunch of beads on it. He's like, yeah, I got this necklace of fireballs. And so they're fighting this big skeleton, and they're getting fireballed, and it's killing them. And they're having real trouble. And he says, I'm going to put that necklace on, and I'm going to fireball that skeleton. And he puts the necklace on, and all of the beads explode at once. And there's no saving throw, so he couldn't evade it. So he was the last one alive, and then he put the exploding necklace of fireballs on and blew himself up. All that necklace of fireballs is in the book. So they all laughed and like, oh my God, now what? And I said, start rolling saves. And they started rolling death saves. And in my mind, so the skeleton is kind of no longer fighting them. It doesn't worry. The flame skulls had been destroyed at that point. It was just the skeleton left. They had destroyed the flame skulls already. And then the first one to roll 3 successful saves, I would give like 1 hit point to, and that they could then kind of crawl to the other people and get a potion down somebody's throat and then recover. And they were like really trying to figure out like, who do I have to put the potion down? Because they're 2 death saves down and they're the next one up on the turn. So they managed to get everybody back up, but it was like right on the edge. I think I probably would have had like one of Withers's hands come and feed them a healing potion, and then with a little note that said, you're not done yet. Right? Like we haven't gotten enough pain out of you yet, and we want more. So that idea that the tomb, we're going to make this a secret. Secret includes the tomb loves pain. I didn't think of this at the time, but the idea that Withers, they've met Withers, and Withers is like, pain is important to this place. Like your pain and your fear, we're not just going to kill you and put your soul in the soulmonger. We want energy out of you first, and then we'll kill you and put your soul in the soulmonger. So, Unpredictable items are also great, giving the players more chance to fail or heroic boss. Cursed items. Paladin Hulk says items that require a player to roll dice a lot also slow the game down, though. Like what items require a player to roll a lot of dice? I mean, nothing like frickin' summon swarms, summon woodland beings. Oh, that spell drives me bananas. It should be Wolf Fireball, but instead it's, I'm going to roll 16 attack rolls my turn. At advantage, because I have pack tactics. So they got up. They did kill the skeleton. They took its weird head, which is it's like a cube-shaped head. So they got 2 of the 5 skeleton keys that they need. They don't even know that they need them yet. I don't know where I'm going to put the other guys yet. They'll unpredictable items, which in my mind implies dice rolling. No, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. There's lots of interesting unpredictable items. The Wand of Wonder is a real good one, and that's not too terrible. You could have, I think there's a lot of fun with some unpredictable items. That doesn't necessarily slow the game down. So they then went through the big door. Oh, the door was great because I had these little guys, these like little serpent things that you had to feed blood into. I had them on both sides, so they had to feed a lot of blood into it to get through the door. And then they managed to get past the big rolling ball and not get steamrolled here in 54. And then they went into room 55 and got attacked by the Minotaurs. And that was crazy fun. I actually rebuilt this room using the Dwarven Forge from the previous. So I tell you, man, those, if you're a Dwarven Forge people, terrain trays are the best. So what they did with Dwarven Forge, if you're not familiar with it, you can Google it. They're 2-inch by 2-inch by 2-inch, roughly, dungeon pieces, walls, corners, floors, and other such things. And you can build dungeon rooms with them that look like a nice, cool dungeon room. There's great pictures of them. They are expensive. This is not a cheap hobby. But if it's your only hobby, it's cheaper than golf or sports cars. And most sports. It's cheaper than most sports cars. So one of the things they did in last year's Kickstarter is they started putting magnets in the bottom of the pieces, and then they sold these 12-inch by 12-inch and 4-inch by 8-inch terrain boards that have they're metal on the inside, covered with a neoprene outside that's got artwork on it, and cheaper than golf. And you can drop the pieces on there, and they stick to it like with the magnets, so you can build a whole room out on one of these terrain trays and then move it around. And I put them in, I have a big, they have these things called really useful boxes, which are like these great big Tupperware, imagine a big Tupperware box. And you can put, a couple of these 12-inch trays in one box and then carry it to the game shop. And at the game shop, you pull it out and you put it on the table and there you go. So from a lazy DM perspective, it's great. As long as you know where they're going to go, it's great. And I highly recommend it. Well, yeah, I do. I think terrain trays to me are a game changer for Dwarven Forge. I like Dwarven Forge anyway, but man, now that I can put pieces on magnets, and build rooms out ahead of time, I really like them. And the elevation, you can use the terrain tray for elevation too. One of the things that they have coming up, they had in their last Kickstarter and they're coming out with, are these little, essentially 2-inch high, a little less than 2-inch. Stilts that a terrain tray can sit on. They're magnet on the bottom, so you can then put these stilts on the bottom and then it will sit up, and it sits flush with a wall, so you can have like a 2-stage or even 3-stage tiered layout. So imagine the pyramid from I wonder if I have enough pieces. I probably do. Imagine the inverted ziggurat in White Plume Mountain. You can now build that with terrain trays. 3 tiers of terrain trays. I think that room's 3 tiers. So I've always wanted to build that thing in Dwarven Forge, and I've never been able to because it's too many tiers and too many layers. But now with terrain trays, I might be able to. So anyway, so they went into this room. They got attacked by a whole bunch of Minotaur skeletons, which wasn't too tough, except one of the characters got sucked into the wall, and he was in a maze fighting a Minotaur by himself. And he threw himself out of the wall and took a whole bunch of psychic damage. But in his hand, he rolled his die, and he has a black key. So they have now defeated all of the skeletons, got through all the traps, and they are starting in room 55 with the black key. So our strong start is the black key. I'd love to do something. So the black key gives a power. That the black key, the recipient gain, if you get the black key, the odds of getting the black key were 1 in 100, a 1 in 100 chance that they're going to get it. And character retrieves a key and open a supernatural gift from a Sararak. That's an important piece. Varies based on the key. So blue is Charm of 9 lives. Now black is Charm of 9 lives. Charm of the Crystal Heart. Immunity to piercing and slashing damage from non-magical. Vulnerability to bludgeoning. Charm of Treasure Sense. Charm of the Swollen Hag. Purple key. Charm of the Maimed. Allows you to regrow lost appendage. Gains a Charm of the Ghoul. The black key gives when you take 0 points of damage, whenever you're dropped to 0, you instead return to 1. That is powerful, but it's not particularly that flavorful. I want something else. I want something that ties them to a Sararak. Oh, come on. What an error. Huh. An error. Weird. The rest of the page appears to be working. Tomb of Annihilation. Monsters. I'm just looking to see what are a Sararak's abilities. Is there some kind of ability that a Sararak can give to maybe the Disrupt Life? So what is that? Yeah, what if once per short rest he can cast Blight? I tell you, something's wrong with the thing. Spells. Official. By class. We'll go with Warlock. We'll go with Wizard. We will go with show advanced filters we want. Can do it here. Blight. There it is. So Blight is a 4th level spell. What about an enhanced Blight that does work on undead? I think that would be good. On top of the 9 lives. How about instead of returning to life normally, a whole new body is constructed necromantically, which feels like a nightmare? Yeah. So I think that's already going to happen, right? I think that's a good idea. So I won't tell that, but every time he returns, he gets a little bit more lich-like. That's pretty great. At his normal DC, right? That's a nice one. So that's a cool, but now he's touched by a Sararak. I think that would be a cool ability on top of 9 lives. And I think the key is that a Sararak might say, new potential apprentice. Will Ogechi. Ogechi's got lots of problems. He's also the one that can open the door to the Night Serpent. But now if he does this, he might, that's nothing. Being able to open up that thing is nothing compared to the Night Serpent. So just looking at my book. There's a lot of float in that spine. All right, so I got a good strong start. The black key, and then there's also the whole thing is going to be the Unk. This is Unk's tomb, so that's new. And somebody else might take that one. So Unk's tomb is the scene. Then I don't know where they're going to go. Where's the obvious choice? So they go back to the main hall. They can go down to either of these places. This is all crazy. All this nutty stuff. So I'm not really... Wow, look at that. 57 is terrible. That's a lot of bodies. Never noticed that before. Grisly, huh? Ooh. Well, it is the Tomb of the Nine Gods. I don't think they've been to 56 either. What is 56? The grandfather clock. Oh, aging by 10 years. Oh. It's a big clock. The Navel of the Moon. So yeah, so this one did not... I didn't have a real... I didn't bring this... I didn't have a secret for this. So... I don't know what this thing could be that would be really important. I'd want something that's relevant to the characters. So why would the Navel of the Moon matter to the characters? Let's go to the characters here. Smoke. So Smoke might know of it because he was with that group. So Smoke. In case they go down there. Yeah, the vision at home, the idea that maybe it's sort of a, the fact that Smoke knows about it and having this, the one who brings it back can become a Calimport. Do a little fairy tale thing. Bring it back, you get her hand in marriage. That could be fun. Just looking at the trap here. Oh, so they have the invisible key. They already picked that one up. So the idea that there's an invisible lock in here matters. So I kind of want them to be able to do this. I think she's not married against her will. She's probably in charge. And she is the one who said, whoever brings it to me can marry me. So we'll do some empowerment there. Yeah. She's the one who determined that. It's her quest. And she'll be known as a badass. That would be an odd thing to say. Like, whoever returns this eye to me will be my prince. It's better than going to a bar. Let's see. So I don't know where else they will go. So I'm not going to spend too much time reading up on it. But so let's focus on our secrets. Oh, so grandfather clock. Yeah, maybe she's like, hey, that thing's gone, so I'll never have to actually marry somebody. But I don't know. You think that's too sexist? It could become a lord. How about that? We'll do that. And maybe courting rights. She'll go on a date with him. A lord and courting rights. Like, I'll go out to dinner with you. I will allow you to take me out to dinner if you bring me this priceless orb, and I'll make you a lord. And Kellenport, you know, they've got some, you know, aren't they? That I guess I'm thinking of Luskin as the Thieves Guild, but Kellenport's got its share of sort of corruption too. What other secrets are going on? Withers. Withers' hands are keeping track of the characters. By the time the characters collect the third and fourth key, the tomb goes from wanting to torture them to wanting to kill them. So like by the time they get that fourth key, it's like, we don't actually want you getting through that big door. It's a little ironic that like the keys to the door are wandering around the tomb. I don't know why you do that, but yeah, hard to say. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need 4 more. All right. What other secrets are going on down here? When one of the trickster gods. The trickster god, when one of the trickster gods is torn out of the carrier, like when you switch from one trickster god to another or you try to remove one, it destroys their soul. Clues. Clues, yeah, secrets and clues, right? That's what we call these. And clues, these can be anything. So I don't determine how they're going to find it or how they'll learn it. They can learn it from talking to somebody. They can learn it from, yeah, like you said, finding a piece of equipment. It could be a dream. There's lots of different ways they can learn secrets. That's the key to a secret, is that they are not tied to the location. They're not tied to how you find it. They are just things that you might discover. So one of the things that got me to think about the idea of secrets and clues, two things sort of collided together. These are how ideas work, I think. A couple things collided together. And one was when we talked about the 3 pillars of D&D, exploration, roleplay, and combat. I knew what role-playing was, and I knew what combat was. But when I heard exploration, I didn't really know what that meant. I was like, what is the gameplay mechanic for exploration? And now it's like, it's a little easier to think like, well, it's when you're rolling history checks or when you're doing thieves' tools. You know, it's all of the other stuff. It's the digging in. And I think exploration is actually my favorite part of games, period. When I play games, I like to explore. So I played Assassin's Creed Origins. I like to explore these old temples and stuff. And I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2 now, and I like to just find places and clues. You know, when I track down a serial killer is fun. You know, discovering his scenes and trying to get clues about where he is. That's fun to me. And at the same time, I was also playing Dark Souls, and Dark Souls, or Blood, I guess it was Blood, what's it called? Not Blood Omen. Bloodborne? No. What the hell's the name of that Dark Souls game? I can't remember. Somebody in chat. What's the name of the Dark Souls game that was on the PlayStation, only on the PlayStation? It was like Blood something. Bloodborne, or, I don't think it was Bloodborne, but it's something like that. Was it Bloodborne? I can't remember. I guess it's Bloodborne. I gotta look it up on the Google. Yeah, Bloodborne. Yeah. So Bloodborne was a fantastic storytelling game that had no story you could recognize, because all the whole story was tied up in the whole story is tied up in items that you pick up and things that you discover. So every item you pick up in that game has like a tweet-sized story to it, and you can sort of piece together all the different factions of the game and all the things that are going on from these really subtle pieces of information. And like, you go back and read the things that tried to piece together what the story of the game is, and you're like, wow, I had no idea that's what the story of the game was. But you always felt like you were learning a little something. And that idea of like, you pick up a particular helmet or a hat and you put the hat on and you learn like about the people who did the blood hunt before, the particular faction that used to do the hunt before you did, or the weird oddities that they found, there was like these pieces of the umbilical that you find, which is what sort of draws the moon creature down, really fantastic. So yeah, that idea that like, you don't have to sit and watch a 20-minute cinema to figure it out. You don't have like these huge cutscenes. You just learn these little pieces at a time. And I thought like that to me felt like exploration. So the idea of like, secrets are what I can put into a game that I know lead to exploration. They are the outcome of exploration. So that's why I like them so much. And I'm procrastinating because I need 3 more. What about the Sohn sisters? The Sohn sisters have a different... Yeah, right. A burnt chalice with symbols on it. Everything can have a secret and clue. You read the symbols, what the symbols tell you, of the pain of the tomb of the 9 gods, that, the history. Maybe it was etched by one of the albino dwarves, and, in a moment of clarity where he's like, this tomb lives on pain, and he wrote it around on a chalice and left the chalice in a treasure thing. I've already talked about how the cost to build this tomb is monumental. Oh, something about the aboleth. Someone describing a pleasant conversation. Maybe yeah. I think the aboleth is going to start talking to one of the characters. Now that they're low enough, it'll just reach out and I'll pull randomly. So that's a good one. Thank you. King Buttertree. Was that you? No, Paladin Hulk. Thank you. That is a great idea. And what is the name of the aboleth? Gully Rule. We'll call her Jilly. Gully Rule. The Call of Jilly. Jilly says, hey. David Attenborough series. Yeah, so there's an aboleth in the lower lake region of this, and the aboleth is a split personality. It's insane because it's disconnected from its main hive mind, and it's got both a very sinister, ancient, dark presence in it, but it also has this childlike voice. Both its mind, split personality. Gora. And she's lonely. All right, we're good. I was reading DM David's post on Secrets and Clues. Yeah, so was I. DM David is a good guy. He and I drank coffee together every morning when we were at Origins, I think. Yeah, he's my favorite. He's a wonderful, wonderful 5th edition or writer, D&D writer and blogger. I love his blog posts are outstanding, and I was glad to see him talking about Secrets and Clues. And he was very nice and linked back to my discussions about Secrets and Clues. So here's where we cheat, right? I'm running a published adventure, so I don't have to do a lot of these. So we might have Gilly the Aboleth is an NPC. The rest of these, we're going to cheat. What monsters in the adventure, magic items in the adventure. So I don't have to do any more work. So if you saw it, like a strong, in this case, for running, this is a lesson, at least for me. For me, and I bet you if you went back through previous episodes, you'd see the same thing. My checklist that I use for this game is who the characters are, what's the strong start, a little bit of scenes and clues, heavy on secrets, and very little on everything else. So characters, strong start, secrets and clues. Maybe that's it. Strong start, secrets. Yeah, like those are like I could probably just do those 3, and I'm pretty good. The scenes help, but like seriously, it's what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 words. You know, not a big deal, and I don't really spend a lot of time. So what's I guess one thing I could do with the NPC is what is a good, fun, young character that would be a good one for to build an archetype around. Like what's a funny kid in a good funny kid in a show. I don't watch a lot of shows with kids in it. Not a fan. Dennis the Menace. Carol Ann's not bad. All the childlike mind of Carol Ann. Yeah. Oh, we'll go with that. I was thinking of the stoner from Cabin in the Woods would be a pretty good one. Like there's things going on there, man. The puppet masters, but that's not a kid. I'll use that for someone else. So that is the outline. So I am done. I'm going to mail this to myself. Because I often forget to mail it to myself. One of my players is saying symptoms, apparently minor migraine. So one of my characters is not going to be there today. So we are down to 3, maybe 4. We'll find out. Paladin Hulk. Hey, Enrique's here. Hi, Enrique. You're coming in with 1 minute to spare, so you're going to get a Twitch-sized show that's perfect for your busy schedule. Notes for today's game. So I just sent myself my notes. Enrique is awesome. Enrique started streaming his game. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I saw that it was being streamed. That's very cool. That's something I've only done once or twice, and I don't think I'll probably do regularly. Friends, it looks like we are hitting 11 in the morning. I am going to go prepare for the rest of my game. I don't think I've got a whole lot to prepare for. I want to thank you guys all for coming. All of you who showed up in chat, King Butterfree and Paladin Hulk, Shadzar, thank you all for your fine conversation today in chat. Enrique, thanks for popping in. Always a pleasure. It came out terrible. Don't watch. What I really want to find out, Enrique, I'll tell you the tricky bit, and I see like everyone else seems to know how to do this. I was going to talk to Grant Ellis about it. He's like my, he knows how to do this stuff and will actually answer my emails. How do you stream a game where everyone is talking and has a little video up and it doesn't echo? Like you and I ought to experiment more with that maybe. You and I were going to do a show. Weren't you and I going to get on and talk? I could do that tonight if you wanted. Do you want to do a little talk show thing tonight? You should let me know if you're free. I thought there was some weird internal feedback that was going on. I don't know. We can play with it. Anyway, I am off to go get all my junk together for my game. Oh, newbie DM can't do it tonight. Oh, well, another time. Oh, another advertisement. So tomorrow night, I will be on Twitch on the Don't Split the Podcast channel talking to Adam Coble of Dungeon World, and also a big D&D streamer and streamer of many games. And he and I are going to talk about how Dungeon World has changed the 5th edition of D&D. So I'm really looking forward to it. He and I've already sent my potential questions. Yeah, is it episode 14? Have I actually done 14 of these at this point? So yeah, you can see Adam all over Twitch. He's always on, and he was very kind to getting for me to I could reach out to him, and we're scheduled to talk for an hour. So get on Twitter and ask questions or show up on Twitch. It's tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Don't Split the Podcast Network Twitch channel. So if you follow me on Twitter, you will see me retweeted on Twitter. You can also see the Don't Split the Pod. I think it's called Don't Split the Pod. Yeah, so be there. It's going to be awesome, and it'll be on YouTube as well, and a podcast as well. We throw it out to 3 different channels, so you will be able to see it. But I'm really looking forward to it. He's a super smart guy and is really deep into this hobby, and I can't wait to pick his brain about how the story focus of Dungeon World has changed Dungeons and Dragons. My friends, thank you again. Have a great day, and go roll some dice. See you later.